Good evening. Welcome to #GotMoney. So, uh, I purposely went out and hunted to get Brendan on #GotMoney this evening. Now, Brendan has been described as an eco warrior. I think they even used eco entrepreneur to describe Brendan because he's a very, very clever man. He's all about sustainability, and he's not a guy that just talks about sustainability. He's actually gone ahead and he's created a master estate whose, as far as I'm concerned, its whole juxtaposition is about sustainability. Brendan, welcome to #GotMoney.
Thanks for having me.
So, mate, how did you get into this space first? Did you just wake up one morning and go, enough's enough?
Oh, look, I've always had a great fascination with the natural world ever since I was a child, and worked out pretty early that we need to change the way we're interacting with our planet, and we need to move our whole planet onto a sustainable footing. So it's been a whole sort of lifelong journey for me.
How do you go from that to master estate? That's a big jump. That's
it is. Well, I guess I studied criminology at university. I started with programs with young offenders back in the day, and I got them out restoring rivers and creeks and waterways and wetlands. I then built a wetland and ecological restoration business that plants millions of trees and grasses and shrubs and wetland plants for the development industry. And over the years, we've been doing all this nice biodiversity work. And then I've been looking up at all these housing estates we're working on, thinking we need to improve the way we're building housing, because we're building energy intensive housing that's locking people into high energy costs. They're also very high carbon, and they're not really that well adapted for climate change. So I thought what I'll do is I'll find a site and build a demonstration project that shows how to build low running cost, energy efficient, carbon neutral housing. And that's how I've come to this point.
because that's a pioneer thing to do, right? Because when did you buy the Cape? Was it 15 years ago?
Yeah, it's over 15 years, and we sort of spun the wheels for the first 10 years, working to get our permits and permission. So we've been up and about for 5 years now, doing stuff, building beautiful houses. So certainly a long game, but the whole thing is that sustainability is a long game. These things don't change overnight, but then hopefully the changes stick.
What makes your home so sustainable? What have you changed?
So the Cape's a 230 lot subdivision overlooking Bass Strait near Phillip Island. Beautiful site, and we're building eventually 230 houses. So we set very high standards, minimum standards for the estate. All the houses have to be at least 7.5 star energy efficient. They all have to have at least 2.5 kilowatts of solar, 10,000 litres of rainwater storage per house. We're not using gas in the whole estate. We've moved to efficient all electric homes. So heat pump heating and cooling and hot water systems, induction cooktops. So we've taken the advice of the experts, and we set a high bar for the builders, and then we train the builders and we buddy them with really good designers. So the result is that all of the houses at the Cape are achieving over 8-star energy efficiency right across the whole estate. That means that they've got super low energy bills, and when you partner that with solar energy and efficient fit out, the houses are averaging annual energy bills under $500 compared to $2,000 to $3,000 for a state average house. So these things, they save people lots of money, and they're also beautiful and comfortable year round with minimal to no heating and cooling.
Is it a direction into passive housing, or do you think you've met your mark? Are you happy with your 8.2, 8.5 energy rating?
Look, if you hit 8-star, that's a house that is so beautifully performing that it'll be effortlessly comfortable year round. You can really heat the thing by rubbing your hands together, and it'll stay cool. So we're monitoring around 12 of our houses. RMIT's monitoring them, and they found that over the last year they've sat between 18 to 25 degrees pretty much year round with minimal heating and cooling. And when they do turn on a heating or cooling system, it's a super efficient heat pump system that uses a fraction of the energy being generated by the house itself. So the whole estate is generating 3 to 4 times as much clean energy as it's using. So it's in effect a power station. So look, we're really happy with the standards we're hitting.
How do you go from I want to do this to doing it with builders? Because I can imagine that when you first came up with this idea, it wasn't well received by the building fraternity. How did that go down?
Look, we've got a great lead company down in the Wonthaggi area called TS Constructions, and the director of that company is a really good community-minded guy. He's the former chief of the fire brigade, former president of the Surf Lifesaving Club, and he's got an environmental ethic, and he sort of really embraced it from day one. And we went all around Australia looking at sustainable housing estates and learning from builders and other projects. And then we then trained our builders. We buddied up with really good energy efficiency experts and architects, and we trained the builders how to do this at least cost. And we've had other good ethical builders come in. So we've now got a fraternity of really great local builders who are building super energy efficient homes, and they're really showing the future of Australian housing. So, but we're now trying to leapfrog into the broader market, because if you build these sorts of houses, they save people thousands of dollars per annum. They're carbon neutral, and they're also very safe in heat waves, because we're seeing more extreme heat waves, and a lot of our housing is hot box housing. And if the grid goes down and the air conditioner is not working, people get, they're quite unhealthy for people to live in. So these sort of resilient houses that regulate their own temperature are going to be really, really important in Australia's future. And that's why we're trying to leap to the volume build market now, and to get them to take this up as well.
Are they doing that? Are they taking it up?
So we've had a lot of volume builders coming down to the Cape to look at the house designs, and we've open sourced the house designs, so you can download them from our website. And I think some of the more progressive, forward-thinking builders are now tapping the volume builders and saying, we've got to go this way, get ready. There's also currently a review of our national building code happening, and it's likely next year that we'll see a lift to 7-star energy efficient homes as the national minimum. So this is coming. It'll be regulated. It'll be driven by consumer demand. It'll be driven by public health concerns, and so I think we will see the volume builders jump on board.
What's your build cost in comparison to a traditional build?
So this is where we did that design process with Australia's leading energy efficiency experts, and we eliminated a lot of that cost in the design phase. So all the houses have got good northern orientation. The designs have been optimised in terms of putting the windows and the thermal mass in the right place. So there's very little difference between building one of our houses and a conventional house to the same standard. In our market, we're seeing a premium of around 3%. And the paybacks are 3 to 4 years in terms of economics. But I often say to people, the payback is the first 40-degree day when you're sitting beautiful and comfortable in your house and you're not panting. So the health paybacks are immediate. So that's what we're finding in our market. We're getting fully fitted out houses around $2,000 per square metre, fully fitted out. But in the volume built market, I think if the volume builders put their builders through the same training processes, they should be able to eliminate most of the premiums and achieve those same sort of small premiums as well.
Yeah, it seems a shame that you really are a leader in this, but it's a shame that I don't see more of these builds happening in and around Melbourne. I think the crisis is an interesting time to have you on having this conversation, because there are people at home that have just lost their income, and they're still going to have to pay that power bill and that gas bill, and winter's on its way. Having someone like you that's come in and I mean, for you, that community isn't just about houses, is it? Talk to me a little bit about what else you're doing inside of that community.
So it is about economic resilience, but it's also social and health resilience. So you're dead right. There are a lot of people at home without income, spending a lot more time at home, so their energy bills are actually going up right now. So at the Cape, we've modelled it such that the houses perform beautifully year-round with minimal to no energy bills. So you can still be working at home, and your house is basically eliminating most of that bill. Some of the houses, they're getting paid for the surplus energy they're producing, so they're actually getting a check to live in the house. The other side of it is that they're just beautiful, comfortable working environments, 18 to 25 degrees, so they're just a delight to sit there and work and be productive. They're also NBN connected with high-speed NBN to the house, fibre to the house. But we've also worked on other resilience elements too. So we've developed these really clever pop-up modular farms that people are building in their backyards, where they're able to grow a whole lot of food at arm's length. We also have a community farm as well. So there's a lot of food that's spinning out of the urban form of the houses at the Cape. Around 25% of the houses have really good food growing systems. And then there's the kilometres of walking tracks and the little pocket parks. So that really encourages incidental contact between our residents. So they can go for a walk, stretch their legs, still engage in physical distancing, but I haven't seen any degradation of the social contact between people in the community. So they're still connected. The open, non-fenced feel of the place means that people can stand back at the paths and talk to someone in their front yard. So there's still that really good social contact that's happening, and I think that's another part of overall resilience as well.
So really healthy hearts, healthy minds. That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're looking at doing a convention centre out there as well. Is that underway? Have you built that yet?
No, that'll come in one of our later stages. So we've got a permit to build a conference centre for about 100 people and a sustainable visitor accommodation, and that'll be one of the later stages. At the moment, we've just completed stage 3 out of 5 stages of the project. We have around 45, approaching 50 houses complete. A whole lot of houses getting ready to get underway with construction. And we built a whole lot of wetlands, parks, walking tracks, the first stage of the community farm, and so on. So that's where we're at. But we're getting a lot of interest with people coming down to visit the estate. So the conference centre, in the end, will be a great little training space for the development industry, for government, for councils, for communities, on how to step up and build really cost-effective, much more resilient passive solar housing.
Who are your people? Who are your buyers down there?
Lots of locals who are coming in from places like the existing Cape Paterson and Inverloch. We have professional families who are doing the e-changing. So you've heard of sea changing. Well, there's the e-change movement where people are looking to sort of trade out of the overheated Melbourne property market and buy an affordable, beautiful, sustainable house with NBN connection. So they've got the Home Office and they're still working on staying connected to their Melbourne clients. We have active retirees, local professionals, percentage of holiday makers looking eventually to retire into the place. So it's sort of a mixed bag. I'm really happy we've got a broad church. It's not sort of an eco enclave. It's actually a broad church of ordinary people. People are unified by the fact they like good architecture. They don't like high power bills. They like the coastal environment. So yeah, that's the demographic.
When you hear eco village, I think hippies straight away. But I had a look at some of the images of some of the people that live in the estate, and you're right, it's everyone. It's a home for everyone. It's nicely, how you've done that is quite nicely. You've nicely done it. So you want it to offer employment to the residents as well. Is that one of the platforms that you're considering too? Is that the reason for the opening up the convention centre?
Yeah, so the conference centre will have a co-working space, and that'll be broadband connected. We'll build it so it's got lovely ocean views, so it's a great place to work. And once you do that, you build a little ecosystem of work where you get skilled people working together, and they start throwing each other work and job opportunities. So the co-working space will definitely be part of what we're doing. The conference centre itself will offer employment as well. So there will be an element of employment that's available to locals.
It's so nice. It's got everything.
Yeah.
It's got everything has been absolutely considered. How much are they? So if I'm buying one of your houses today, a 4-bedroom or a 3-bedroom, what am I paying for that house?
So there's, in terms of lots, we have townhouse lots starting around $180,000, and they've got ocean views, right up to more premium larger lots, $390,000, $400,000. But there's a real mixture of stuff in the mid twos and the high twos and the threes. And then to build a home, it's around $2,000 per square metre. So if you're building a 150 square metre home, it'll be around the $300,000 mark. and so on. So house and land packages coming in. You can get a townhouse, house and land package with a beautiful sustainable 8-star townhouse for under $500,000.
Wow.
Most of the houses are in the $600,000 to the $700,000 mark.
So with more builders looking at this and coming in to get trained on it, you eventually see that this is going to be part of the normal. People are going to want, I think people are probably going to demand to build this way, aren't they?
Look, I think if you look internationally in places like Scandinavia, they're building to a much higher standard. In Germany, they're building to a much higher standard. And here in Australia, we've been a little bit too relaxed. We've had this relaxed approach and a forgiving climate. But I think as we move into hotter and longer and more frequent, more intense heat waves, we're going to have to really step up in the way we're building to protect household economics from high energy bills and also health. So definitely this needs to mainstream. We really need to lift our standards in the way we're building. We've got minimum standards of 6-star energy efficiency. A lot of the built stock is not even meeting that 6-star standard. A lot of the so-called 6-star housing is not being checked once it's built, and it'll be rating between 4 and 5 stars according to CSIRO studies. So yeah, the whole industry really needs to step up so that we're protecting residents and communities into the future.
Yeah, and it's all about health too. A lot of people don't realise, but your house can actually make you sick. You know, you can get mold and air blowing through it, and asbestos back in the day when we used to build that way. Do you have another master estate in you after this one? Is this a show you're going to take on the road? We
are getting tapped to look at projects all around Australia. At the moment, I'm just saying, cool your jets. Let's keep delivering the Cape. But I think we are inspiring other projects that are borrowing from our design guidelines. So if you hit our website, you can download house designs and give that to your builder. And we're seeing our houses being copied right across Victoria and other places now, and people are downloading them and saying to the builders, that's what's been built at the Cape. It's costing this. We want you to try and match that. The design guidelines are also being used as a reference for socially positive, sustainable, low-cost housing estates as well. So we're open sourcing everything. I mean, the ethical investors behind the projects are all about, let's just get on. We don't have a lot of time. Let's move to lift the standards of housing.
Yeah, so share it. Share the
Absolutely.
knowledge. That's what you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's incredible. Thank you for joining me and for going through this with me. I think that's extraordinary. You've really put, it's okay to have an idea, but when you take that idea and you turn it into something like this, that's so commendable. How do our listeners find you?
Just visit liveatthecape.com.au, and the website's got all the information. And I guess my final comment is that it's interesting at the moment. We've got time to pause and reflect on, the future of our country, and we're in a stressor event. So we need better resilience and livability and social connection in our urban form. And we've also got big challenges coming in future that we need to prepare for. So this resilience in our communities is really, really important. And I hope people are really sort of planning out and being strategic about the big changes we need to make to build a society where the air continues to be clean. I mean, it's interesting seeing all the pollution disappear at the moment with the COVID virus. Let's make that a permanent fixture, move on to clean energy systems and build better housing.
I agree with you. I just had a thought actually before you go. I do a lot of work with not-for-profit organisations. It would really be great to see your homes used for social and affordable housing. Is that an area that you work with or you work into at the moment?
Well, I guess we're open sourcing all our designs so that they can be copied. It's not something.
So if they want them, it's there. If they want it, it's there.
And they are some of the most vulnerable groups in our society, and they need to have a lot of the social housing we've got is very poor standards. I've heard of housing overheating, poorly built stuff. So absolutely, it needs. I think that sort of housing is a human right. A house that it's not just 4 walls and a roof. It actually regulates its temperature. It has low running costs, and it protects your health. Yeah,
I agree with you. Thank you for your time today. All the very best and stay well. I love what you're doing. So for our listeners, please go to liveatthecape.com.au if you want to know more about this incredible master estate. All the best, Brendan.